Hello, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, and I'm near the edge of Cuyamaca Rancho State Park, near the Trout Pond Trailhead, which is just around that bend there on Highway 79. Why am I over here in the grass? Well, let us take a look at this magnificent old apple tree. This tree's been around here for a very long time. In the middle of doing a fall foliage video. We're doing clips that are going to make into a video eventually. And then I just had to stop off at this old apple tree. Malus pumila. Beautiful, noble old apple tree. This thing has been around for a very long time. Would not be surprised if this tree were planted in the 1800s. Yeah, this is probably a piece of it right here that I just stumbled over. Yeah, you can tell this tree has some old trunks on it. This is a magnificently beautiful old apple tree. I don't see any apples or any remnants of any apples on it. So I don't know if this one still produces, but this is definitely an apple tree. What a beautiful tree this is. This thing is old. You can tell it's been around for a very long time. These old trunks here. Wow. We are near Cuyamaca Lake. We're at about elevation of 4,650 feet above sea level. Oh, just look at this apple tree. I guess we can consider this the trees of San Diego County. Now, apples are winter deciduous trees in the rose family, the Rosaceae, and they descend from. They basically come through breeding and cross-pollinating and this and that from an older species of crab apple that was native to Europe long time ago, very long time ago, and I believe it originated from this species called Malus sylvestris, I believe is the ancestor of the apple. But now we have many different cultivars of apples nowadays. More than I can even imagine naming. So the apple tree is usually a small winter deciduous tree in the rose family, the Rosaceae, and it's a member of the section of Amygdaloideae, which includes the cherries, plums, peaches, the apples, the pears, the quinces, but it's further divided into the pome fruit section, the Malei, which is another subdivision of the Amygdaloideae, which in the Malei includes the pome fruited trees such as pears, quinces, apples, crab apples, hawthorns, service berries, and even our native toyon that you find here in our chaparral and wooded areas here in Southern California. So this is in its own group, the Malei, which is named after the genus Malus, which is named for apple. So we have multi-trunked, large shrub to small, sometimes medium-sized tree, generally under 40 feet tall. This one's been around for a very long time. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you know what an apple looks like. Of course, the type of apple that comes off of it varies by what cultivar of apple it is, or if it's the wild ancestral Malus sylvestris, it's probably small and probably sour. So I don't need to show you what an apple looks like unless you've never seen an actual apple fruit before, which is almost 100% unlikely. So I'm not going to bother worrying about fruits and everything, showing the fruit off like I normally like to during these type of videos. But I just wanted to take some time to appreciate this apple and do a little discussion about the apple tree. So I'm going to go ahead and take a picture or two of this, and then I'm going to start talking a little bit more about the apple tree. Let's go start looking at some of the other features of apple trees. So what we have here is we're starting off with this flaky, furrowed bark on the lower trunks. You can tell this tree is very old. It's been around for a very long time. Very long time. This is a very old tree. I'd be surprised if this tree planted well back into the 1800s. It's probably over 130 years old. I'd be surprised if this is here during when settlers were here. But yeah, look at this. Old, sometimes flaky, furrowed gray, medium gray bark. Then you get these branches that start off kind of smooth and gray. And then they end up these kind of greenish, brownish branches with these little quirky lines called lenticels, these little horizontal lines called lenticels. Here's a larger branch right here, beautiful gray. And you can see birds have been pocking marks in here, smaller woodpeckers. And then eventually we get these reddish twigs, these beautiful reddish brown twigs that culminate with the foliage. And the foliage of the apple is a simple tooth-edged leaf, a lot of times fuzzy underneath with trichomes or hairs. This is your typical apple leaf right here on Malus pumila. Now come early spring, usually before and when the leaves start opening out, you get these beautiful white to pinkish flowers that are 5-petaled, and they smell nice. They are very fragrant, and they are very, very beautiful flowers. An apple tree in full bloom usually gives off a nice pinkish hue, and then the leaves start coming out. Forgive the gunshot sound. Somebody's probably doing target practice off in the distance. And then, yes, 5-petaled, pink, white to pinkish, fragrant flowers. And depending on the cultivar, you might get even richer red or darker pinker or purpler flowers, depending on your cultivar, I guess, is possible. But just for the apple tree in general, yes, here we go. Here's another leaf right here. Again, sawtooth. They're alternately growing along the stem, as you see here. They alternate. Let me see if I can get out here a little bit better. Here we go. You can see they alternate on the stem. Here's a leaf here, and here's a leaf here. So they alternate on the stem. They don't grow opposite each other. Alternately arranged leaves is that's very typical of the rose family, and especially the genus Malus. So depending on where you live, apple trees can change nice colors in the fall. I've seen some of these turn brilliant golden yellow, sometimes orange, and sometimes I'll get some hints of reddish on their leaves. This one here in particular really isn't showing a huge propensity for changing leaf color. As you see here, they're just browning and falling off. But I have seen some of these apple trees turn absolutely brilliant colors in fall. Brilliant colors. There's one in particular at the entrance to the Doan Pond Day Use area at Palomar Mountain State Park. And that one, I've seen that one turn just gold and beautiful, brilliant yellow. That's an old tree. I don't even know if it's old as this one, though. But you can see footage of that on my Booker Hill hike from November 7th, 2023, where I did get some footage of that apple tree and in its brilliant fall color. This one here looks like it's pretty much browning out and just shedding its leaves. But still, you cannot deny how beautiful these trees are. So yes, of course, your fruit. The fruit is a familiar edible apple. And depending on what variety it is, it can either be sweet, it could be sour, it could be in between, it could be very juicy, or it could be dry and grainy with the pulp, almost like a pear, to which apples are fairly closely related. And pears are in the genus Paris. So, apple trees. Yes, indeed. Noble apple tree. Of course. Now, here's a caveat. If you're trying to grow an apple tree from seed, and I've actually germinated apple trees from seed before, it's really not that hard. What I've done is I've actually planted the seeds outright and had seedlings just germinate. Or what you could do is put them in a Ziploc bag with a paper towel, moist, and put it in the refrigerator, and then a lot of times they'll start sprouting on you. So you can grow apple trees from seed. You can be like Jonathan Chapman, aka Johnny Appleseed, way back in the day, spreading seeds around the eastern half of the United States. But if you want a specific cultivar, if you want a specific type of apple, the rule of thumb is you're going to have to graft a piece of that desired cultivar onto your seedling stock. So your seedling is going to be the rootstock. Your seedling is going to be the rootstock because seedling apple trees will not always, if ever, produce the type of fruit from which the seed came. Say you planted a Jonagold seed, you might just get a little random crab apple out of it that's really sour, really small, instead of a big sumptuous Jonagold. So if you were to do that, you would want to let your seedling get a woody stem as it's growing upright, and then take the top off of that, get a twig from a Jonagold or whatever variety you're trying to cultivate, and graft it on. And you should be able to do that. Now you can probably get away with grafting on multiple horticultural varieties on the same plant and get various types of apples coming from the same tree. You're going to have to graft multiple species onto branches of your seedling apple. Once it's large enough to be able to withstand being trimmed and grafted, you're going to want your seedling to get probably at least a foot or two tall, a couple feet tall before you start cutting and everything. And if you're trying to get multiple varieties, you're going to want to wait till your apple seedling turns more into a sapling and starts branching. Then I would do that. But I'm going to get a couple more pictures of this tree and just keep talking a little bit about the apple and finish this video off on a beautiful serene note here in the meadows of Cuyamaca Rancho. So, what to do if you want to grow an apple tree of your own? Depending on where you live, will probably dictate what type you can grow fairly decently well. And Southern California, where I live and where I film 99.9% of my videos, can be pretty challenging depending on what you want to grow. Now, one variant, one cultivar I grew when I was in junior high, in high school, I had a Beverly Hills apple. That one should be pretty well suited to the lowlands like Orange County, low coastal plain, San Diego, maybe Riverside. Now, apples can be heat tolerant, but certain types actually require a certain amount of winter chill in order to get the best type of apple. So if you want to grow an apple, say in Julian, your selection is not as limited as it would be maybe in San Diego. Now, you can push the boundaries. You can push the boundaries and try whatever you want. You might get success, but your better likelihood is if you live in a climate that is amenable for what you're trying to grow. Like I said, Beverly Hills apple, that's a type that can be grown in low elevations. And like I said, I had a Beverly Hills apple tree when I was a teenager, living in Anaheim in junior high and high school. So it depends on where you live. Like I said, just to get an apple tree, just to have a tree, it's pretty easy. You can just germinate the seeds and let them grow. They grow at a moderate rate. They can have some pretty big growth spurts, but they're, I'd say, more of a moderately rate growing tree. But if you want the best results, do research on where you live as to what horticultural variants are best suited for your climate. But I'll tell you one thing, It was really cool to see this apple tree. I've seen apple trees planted in San Diego. A friend of the family has an apple tree in his yard. I didn't ask him what type it is. I've never seen it with fruit on it. I've never been to his house when there was fruit on it. But yeah, you can grow apple trees in San Diego. Just if you want the best quality fruit, look for what types of fruit, what types do better in your area. So the apple is what made some communities here in San Diego County pretty famous. Again, because of the apple, places like Julian, which is north of here, Julian and Winola, that area is very well known for apple orchards and pear orchards and fruit orchards. You can get some good apples and pears if you go towards Julian. And you can get apple cider, you can get apple pie. Julian's a great place here in San Diego County. And the climate there gets just enough winter chill, and sometimes snow in the winter at 4,100 feet above sea level to enjoy having apple orchards. In fact, if you park at the Vulcan Mountain Trailhead over on Farmer Road in the Julian area, when you start hiking up the dirt access road to the actual trailhead from Farmer Road, you're going to pass by an apple and pear orchard. And there's some beautiful apple trees and pear trees. And if you go certain times of year, you might get lucky. Maybe you can score some fruit if you go at the right time of year, like September, October. You can go to a market and maybe get some freshly picked pears from the markets and get some fresh apple pie. And they also grow pretty good pears over there too. And if you go the right time of year, you can see them change in color. I've seen some of the apple trees, and especially the pear trees around there, change pretty beautiful colors in autumn. Especially the pear trees. They turn red. But me growing, I love growing trees no matter what. I just love growing them just for them themselves. Like I said, I've germinated apples. I never grafted anything onto them. I probably would just let them grow normal and just take a chance to see what the fruit would be like. But I really do appreciate the beauty of our apple trees here in Southern California. Like I said, most horticultural varieties do better with winter chill, but do some research and you can find some that might be good for your area. So there we have it. Another trees of San Diego County. The beautiful apple, Malus pumila, here along Highway 79, here by the edge of Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. That's going to do it for my video on the apple. Check out an apple tree near you. Try growing one. Enjoy it. See you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.